Right in this area, we see action there all the time. Down that front straightaway, Calvin, 18 degrees. You're on that banking for 53 seconds out of your lap.
And let's wind back the clock 12 months ago. It was these two teams, these two cars, drag racing to the line. I gave it to the 99 before they got to the line, and Scott Pruitt did it by 0.08 of a second. It was an incredible finish. At that point in time, it was the closest finish in Grand Am racing. Of course, Montreal eclipsed that. But this race always does something special. Traditionally, this has been run at night, and originally the Paul Revere. It's been run for decades and decades, and even it started at midnight at one point in time. But this is the first time in a long time it's been run in the daylight, and the Ganassi car is up front. The points leader, the defending champion, the defending race winners take the green flag and head to turn one out in front.
Rojas, a great start there, immediately jumps to the front. Fogarty tucks in behind him. Then there's the 10 car, Brian Frizzell. Then the 24-hour winner, David Donahue, follows in the Brumos Porsche.
That start was so good, I didn't think the starter was going to give the green flag. It was just a little bit opportunistic, I believe.
Well, the 99 car had a bit of a scare after the final practice as we get ready for the GT start.
And look at that. The Racer's Edge Mazda tucks nicely in behind. That's good work. Those boys are riding high on confidence at the moment. Young Tom Sutherland doing a really good job. Lee Keane goes around the outside. That's that silver Porsche you can see slotting into second position behind Nick Ham.
That just displays the confidence that he has right now. Lee Keane in that championship leading 87 machine.
This is a good GT battle now, coming down to the first of the really tight corners, probably the slowest corner on this course, the carousel.
Great run around the outside there by Eric Lutz, really getting on the brakes late, taking the long way around, but gained a couple of spots there. But Mazda's 5 poles in a row here at Daytona, counting the one today.
35 cars in total on track, 19 Daytona prototypes, 16 of these guys, the GT cars, and Mazda hoping for something special here at a track that suits this car, this Mazda RX-8, very, very well. Porsche and Farnbacher Lowe's leads the championship. Will it be that way at the end of today? Drama's here for Kyle Busch, the 0-2.
Got in too deep in the brake zone. That was what I was talking about at the beginning on the track map. An easy place to get into trouble. And a battle for the lead as the 99 Gainsco's got to run on the top.
Well, same story, but different positions compared to the last lap of the race here last year. But look at this. The Pontiac Power up against the Lexus. A lot of this will come down to the downforce in the cars as well as Rojas sneaks back to the front.
Guess who's getting a beautiful view of this is Brian Frizzell, who's qualified
really
well, and he holds on to third. And there's been a swap of strategy for that 58, the fourth place car there. David Donahue now qualifying and starting. Traditionally, it's Darren Law.
At the back of this pack, Dorsey, Ricky Taylor having a great run in the 13 machine.
75 right there's been off a little bit. Tracy Crone back on course again. Remember, last year's pass for the win was because of the result of using the draft in the banking. I think you're going to see that again. Here's what happened with Busch. Oh, locked up big time.
Locked up, had to release the brakes there, so we didn't run it in the back of Darren Turner, who's subbing for Zonta in the 76 car there. We see it from the high cam, just locks up those tires. I don't think it was long enough lockup, Dorsey, to hurt those Pirellis.
Yeah, I was about to say, you got to worry now about that flat spotting. Here's a good look at it right in your face. Did the right thing there, though. As soon as he knew he couldn't get turned in, he just aborted on that. Used that runoff area. It's the right thing to do.
As long as you don't gain position there, you are allowed to take that shortcut. So the stewards would have been keeping a careful eye on that. But meanwhile, the 01 is running good up front. What's going on with the 02 car, Chris?
Well, Kyle Busch was just in pit lane grabbing 4 new Pirellis because you can see this is the left front tire. Big flat spot there, so getting in a little bit deep, and we know that Ganassi does not like to run a lot of downforce in these cars, especially here at the Speedway. They want to be able to go down that straightaway as fast as possible, and that has seemed to have caught Kyle Busch out, getting that flat spot. And this is something we saw with Memo Rojas in qualifying. He laid down a great lap, but later in that session, he also flat spotted a tire, so he brought the car to pit lane, but that lap held.
Well, that strategy may come back and work out pretty good for the 02 car. We talked about the short length of this race. Theoretically, you can pit. He's done his mandatory stop before the 45-minute mark. And if you save a little bit of fuel, you could do on just one more stop.
That's a good call right there. Not only did they need the tires, but I think it's an advantage if it goes green for a long time. These guys have to make green flag pit stops. He'll be in a good position.
Good shot of the field there. It's Memo Rojas leading John Fogarty by less than half a second. Look how close John is now for that top spot. Then it's Brian Frizzell, this man here who won the Rolex 24. David Donahue, then Penske's Timo Bernard in the top 5. Ricky Taylor, very promising opening run ahead of Bill Lester, Darren Turner, Mark Patterson, and Jordan Taylor is in the 10. Brian?
John Fogerty right now doing a great job in the 99. Lucky to even be out there, guys, on the last lap of the warm-up session, just a half hour or so before this race started. They broke a tooth on the steering rack, and the crew really had to go to work very quickly in the garage to get a new rack in that car. It was very dicey. Barely made it to pit road in time. Got it out on the racetrack, but they dodged a bullet. If it had happened 15 minutes later in competition, it would have happened in the race. Their day would have been done.
And one reason that steering rack might have broken that tooth might be this artificial load that the banking creates here that these cars don't normally run on except during the 24-hour Daytona.
6 years of history of the Daytona prototypes at this shortened event. The Brumos Porsche 250, there has never been a repeat winner. Will that trend continue today? Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is presented on Speed by Rolex. A crown for every achievement. And brought to you in part by Pirelli. Power is nothing without control. We welcome you back to the World Center of Racing, and a quick snapshot of some news and notes for you in the Daytona prototype class first and foremost. And after a 9-race winless streak, how quickly things can turn around for the Ganassi boys. Pruitt and Rojas, they're looking for their 3rd straight win.
Chrome Racing got 2 cars out there this weekend, and change of driver lineup in the 76. Ricardo Zonta has a clash of commitment over in Brazil, so Darren Turner, who's run with the team a couple of races in the 24-hour races, hit back. 77 new drivers. Rice and Garcia very fast in the test at Mid-Ohio, but the biggest thing, Dorsey, that Porsche rev limit has changed.
Yeah, they've increased it from where it was, 9,000 RPM, give them 200 more RPM. That does 2 things. It gives them a little bit more horsepower, but it gives them a much bigger advantage in the gearbox because they have a much broader steel now where to go.
That's the Daytona prototypes taken care of. Now let's take a look at GT. While we've been away, you haven't missed anything, by the way. So the GT news and notes for you coming into this 7th round of the Rolex Sports Car Series. Patrick Dempsey, big on confidence after competing at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and continues to improve.
And Bucky's back. Kevin Buckner said, what the heck, I'm going to drive that 66 machine and help Spencer Pumpelly try and claw his way back into the championship lead. The Mazdas look their 3rd straight win here, Dorsey. They're always strong.
Yeah, they're good here on the straightaway, no question. McKean and Werner looking for their 3rd straight win in that Porsche, and they're right now running second to the Mazda on the racetrack.
Back up front, this is it. Ganassi versus Gainsco. Mamo Rojas, John Fogerty. And so far, these boys have kept it nice and clean. What does the master of American road racing think? Let's hear from him now, Scott Pruitt.
Well, I think he's enjoying the fact that his car is running out front, but Scott, running in a little bit different situation here this week, and we've never run in the heat of the day at Daytona. How is that going to change the race?
This changes for everybody. Nobody's ever raced here before in these kind of cars, at least in the current history of what we're doing. All of us are learning. You know, the clouds are kind of coming in and out, but the temperature's hot, the conditions are hot. Track's pretty greasy. I had my family at home. And we're just trying to learn along the way. Memo's doing a good job, but, you know, being that this is such a short amount of time on a track, in cooler conditions, the race is the hottest. It's new for everybody.
With as slick as the track has been, what types of things have you been doing to the car to trying to get it stick to the road?
Anything we can find. I mean, fortunately the Pirellis have been good. They've been consistent, but just trying to find that grip has been difficult. We run soft. We're trying not to put any aero in it. In fact, I talked to the guys about, hey, can we put some wing in it? They say, oh, no, I don't think so. So basically just soften it off, work on the shocks, work on the bars.
Well, guys, since it is Daytona, we've got a lot of Cup drivers down here. Juan Pablo Montoya just showed up to show his team a little bit of support. Juan, you see the two other drivers in the O2 car this week, and you're starting to feel like, hey, guys, what about me?
You know, in a way, yes. They told me if I wanted to do it, but with the race tonight, and you know how hard it is today. I want to save all the energies for the race that really counts for me. You know, we're running really well in the Cup, so we'll see what happens. You know, it's exciting to see Memo running really well this year. Pretty excited for them, and you know, as always, the Ganassi cars up front. It's cool to see.
Quite a few drivers say they want to run Watkins Glen in the Rolex race. Any chance we'll see you behind the wheel there?
They haven't asked me yet.
There's dramas for the 58 Brumos Porsche. David Donahue is in trouble. Coming down the back stretch towards the bus stop, and there you have it.
Got the door open because the car's smoking quite heavily. Calvin, you saw it in the brake zone. I don't know that he's not got fire going on here.
This is a disaster. I mean, these are the boys that had the championship lead through the first 2 rounds, and now it looks like their day is done. Smoke in the cockpit. David is bailing.
Yeah, that could have been an engine failure. I'm not sure. It sure went up big, and you can see David's guarding. He's getting himself out of the harm's way.
Yeah, that smoke was getting to him, as you could see. He had to get the door open and pull it off course as fast as possible.
This is the car and the man that won the Rolex 24 at Daytona earlier this year. What a contrast.
Fire bottle.
They've got over 400 guests here, Brumos, and they were hoping for a return victory. This is not the images they wanted to see.
Well, he was certainly showing some pace there in the early going, starting to really hound Brian Frizzell in the number 10 car. And the Porsche is starting to show some speed again, Dorsey.
And they were talking about how hot it's 96 degrees out there. These two cars running really, really well. Moving up in the pack right now. Ricky Taylor's in the 13, Timo Bernard in the Penske Porsche.
Well, it's a huge effort from Ricky Taylor in the Chevrolet-powered Riley to be ahead of the Verizon Porsche for Penske. This is great experience for Ricky, but he's also showing a lot of other teams what he can do.
Well, you got to wonder, Calvin, about that 9,200 revs that you pointed out before, if that didn't have a little bit to do with this, if that is an engine failure we're looking at.
Well, it certainly could be a factor, but what a day for Ricky Taylor. I remember he made his debut here last year, Lee, and he looked across and they were running the second car under the Penske colors, and he looked a little intimidated. Now he's passing these cars. He's come a long way in the last 18 months.
His new teammate is Mike Forrest, who's slowly building his experience. He's had 3 Daytona prototype races, but to be ahead of someone the caliber of Timo Bernard is a huge confidence boost for this young man. And just to reiterate, he is running 4th at the moment. The Penske car is 5th. Darren Turner, that was one of the green machines we saw, is in 6th. Bill Lester 7th. Mark Patterson 8th. 9th is Frizzell and Jordan Taylor 10. And David Donahue plugged his radio back in, communicated to the team, and now they're trying to refire this thing.
They're going to get him on an access road where he can get back into the pits from the backside. He just did that for communications. Probably tow him. Yeah, they are going to flat tow him in there.
Guys down at Brumos pit, a lot of confusion going on down here as well. I did speak to the Porsche engine management guy, and he said it is not a motor problem. The problem was in the cockpit. So engine telemetry and all that says that the motor is fine, but something inside the cockpit. So David has gotten back in. He's talking to Mike Colucci. Colucci on the radio right now with David, trying to determine what the problem is and see if they can get that injured 58 back to pit lane.
Well, when the smoke gets out of the wiring, it's no, the 57 is off course.
This is huge in the GT Championship.
Oh, this isn't good either.
That's not good for Darren Turner.
Well, he's backed it into something, it looks like. Take that wing off like that, and a little bodywork damage at the back of the Krone car.
We saw them park this car earlier this season with similar damage to the rear wings. It was obviously a lengthy change on the Lola. Meanwhile, up front, look at Fogarty starting to put the pressure on.
You talk about drafting. This is a great place for these guys to draft. You get a big advantage here if you're not dealing with an overheating issue anyway.
Coming into some GT traffic, let's not lose sight of the 10, the SunTrust Dallara. Brian Frizzell has done very, very well to hang with these front 2 guys. They were devastated at Mid-Ohio 2 weeks ago not to win. They were leading and leading comfortably when a caution, just the timing of the caution, dramas for the 60 and the 61. The boys are not playing well today. There's drama everywhere here at Daytona.
And that again is in the braking for the bus stop with the chicane off the back straightaway. So you know they got together, Calvin, in the brake zone on the entry.
That was a battle for the 7th spot. Mark Patterson now limping back to pit lane. Burt Frizzell, the other car involved, who had to start in the back of the field, having qualified third with a very fast car, but had a bodywork problem in terms of a bit too big on the front end. So they had to start in the back and make his way through. Here's a replay of it.
Tries to get underneath in brake zone there. And Mark just gets in a little bit too hot on the brakes, spins. 61 does an avoidance maneuver. Actually, look at the temperature in that cockpit. 115 right there.
He's going a little bit too deep. He was feeling the pressure from behind, so he left his braking to the last moment. Just lost the rear end. Bird to take to the grass.
We will regroup and tell you who is where when we come back. But boy, a frantic start. However, up front, it is close. Rojas over Fogarty. This is something that's really gaining a lot of momentum. I know that you've seen it a lot on speed, and that is the Chip Foose Pirelli Edition Ford Flex giveaway. We've been telling you about it each and every round. You have a chance to win this special Pirelli Edition Ford Flex designed by legendary designer Chip Foose, and all you have to do is continue watching today. There'll be a special Pirelli code word shown on camera at least 3 times. And when you identify it, all you have to do is go to grandam.com/Foose, enter the prize word. I'll tell you lots more about it during today's broadcast. Good luck, get amongst it. A lot of you already have, and we've already awarded several winners. While we're in the break, check this out in GT between Farnbacher Lowles and the Leighton Reese Performance Group.
3 wide, the guys were battling really hard, but that was just two guys getting together, Calvin.
Looked to me like the 86 Eric Lux kind of got down on the apron there and sort of like veered back up into Kelly Collins.
See the windshield?
And, just narrowly missed Justin Marks there.
And Collins' car blew the windshield out when it was backwards, so he's going to have to do a lengthy stop. Here, watch this. There it goes.
And that is not a nice place to be going backwards. We've seen that before here in Grand Am Racing at Daytona. Kelly Collins on board, and this is the car in question as well, Eric Lux in the 86.
Whether he caught the apron or he had a punch endorsing, but suddenly the car veered up to the right.
And it looked like there was a little bit of smoke, too. I agree with you, Calvin. It looked like maybe something did go wrong there.
Brian?
The 86 came to pit road, a flat right front. Kelly Collins in as well right now as we go full course caution. No windshield in the drinking mate Pontiac down here. So as you guys said, it'll be a long stop. They'll have to move these tabs, slide the windshield underneath it, and then move the tabs back around. So a long stop right now for the 07.
Yeah, even though he's got a full-face helmet with a visor, they won't let you run with the windshield gone because it's been tried before.
That'll be a parachute down these long
Sure will.
here.
Blow the rear window out next.
We've seen problems with the cars that run in second and third in the championship. These guys are second in the championship chase. You saw the 57 to the side of the road as well. So this could really give the 87 car, Bill Byrne on Lee Keane, a big championship lead here today.
There's a carcass off of someone's tire, or tire off of someone's wheel that's out there.
All right, so they're scampering and scurrying on pit road because we're under our first full course yellow, as we like to do. We'll make the most of this yellow, squeeze in a commercial break so we can come back and show you as much live racing as possible.
Seven's back out. They had to borrow the windshield from Stevenson, so it didn't quite fit.
Here's a car that'll be a lot of fun for somebody.
If you're thinking about turning your car into money and you're looking for excitement, think Las Vegas. Real buyers, real sellers, level playing field.
This is Barrett Jackson, Las Vegas style.
There'll be more eyes on your car than any venue on the planet.
All right, it's up for sale.
If you really want to be a part of the stimulus package, be a part of Barrett Jackson Las Vegas 2009.
Only on Speed. Starts October 7th.
Very exciting stuff, and Kurt Busch wasn't the only famous driver in that clip. Did you happen to see old Dorse in there?
Is that Dorsey? I thought it was Wayne Newman.
I was hanging around.
You were there last year with the Mustang.
Yeah, sure were. We auctioned off from the Mustangs from Ford Challenge, and it was really exciting. A lot of people.
All right, here we go. First round of stops. As always, Daytona prototypes come in first, then GTs. This will be action. And what's going to separate Gaines, Cohen, Ganassi, and SunTrust? Is it going to be pit work?
Well, it's going to be some quick stops down here because we're only about 11 laps into this race, so not going to have to take too much fuel, but the Ganassi guy is going to get 4 tires on the car, too. No changes to the tires or to the car. I talked to Tim Keene. He said everything seems to be good. We thought we'd be chasing the track all day, but everything good with the 01 car down and away. A little bit further down, it looks like Penske did do a wicker change on the back end of that car. Brian, what do you have at your end?
No changes on the 99, Chris. It'll be fuel and 4 The 99 away, and it's going to be a close run out of the pit lane. And it looks like he may lose a spot to the 12.
Well, that's the real key. When you're not putting a full fuel load on, it really puts the pressure on the crews to get that tire change done.
Well, I think that was a smart call right there. They got tires. They got to look at tires. They've been running on this hot. And that wicker that Chris was talking about, the wicker bill is an aerodynamic change made to the rear wing to give it more downforce.
The 02, the second Ganassi car with NASCAR star Scott Speed and Kyle Busch in it. Kyle is still behind the wheel. Of course, they pitted very early. Here we are, we're on board with Kyle now in his first Grand Am Daytona prototype race.
He could be well up in the pack now, maybe up to even second. It looked like Ricky Taylor was the only car of the lead quartet that stayed out there. having a great run here today in the 13 machine, and I believe right now that Kyle Busch may be second or third. We'll have to wait and see it.
And that was that strategy you talked about. I mean, the fact that he had flat-spotted tires is one thing, but I mean, to call him in on that lap and get him in position is good.
And this is ideal because it's allowed him a few more laps in the car, get settled in, get into a rhythm, and really, they got a little less fuel on board, but everyone needs one more stop to get to the finish.
So they're back on target. He was 15th in the queue, but he was still on the lead lap. That's the important thing. Brian, what do you have for us?
Darren Turner in the 76 just heading back out on the racetrack. Extensive repairs to the back end of that machine. I talked to Jeff Hazel. They think it might have been a stuck throttle, which was the problem there. Also checked in on the 58. Seems like some type of a short in the cockpit created an electrical fire. So that's what is done today for the 58. You also saw the 90 on pit road moments ago with Buddy Rice, the new spirit of Daytona. Machine with the Porsche V8 in the back. They did a longer stop than usual to check the right front. A bit of rubbing noise up there, but they got Buddy Rice back on track.
Well, we're watching the tail section there of the Chrome machine exiting pit lane. I spoke to Nick Johnson this morning. He said, we're trying a different downfall setup. I said, what's the difference? He said, we normally run 17 degrees of angle in the rear wing. We've got 6. And he said, we normally run a 6.5-inch rear tab door. So we've got ½ an inch today. So that is a huge adjustment, trying to look for and search for straight line speed here at Daytona.
Well, a few moments ago on the exit of pit lane, we had a little drama too. As the 10 car, watch this, exits on. And here...
Is that the two brothers still?
Yeah. That was a close one.
Brian and Bert Frizzell. Now, GTs are in. As per Grand Am rules, on that first time by, Daytona prototypes come in, then GT is second time by. Brian's at Farnbacher Lowes. Brian?
Lee Keen brings the 87 to pit road. Should be a routine stop. Interesting to note the 70 stayed out, but the 30 of the Racer's Edge, they came in as well. So one Mazda on pit road, one Porsche from Farnbacher Lowes on pit road. Crew going to work. Routine stop for Lee Keen. They'll get this car back on track as soon as they can, Chris.
All the TRG cars coming to pit lane, just taking fuel. I was thinking maybe we'd see Kevin Buckler get out of the 66 car since he's not in the points championship and hand it over to Spencer Pompelli, but Kevin's staying behind the wheel, so obviously he's having fun out there. And the 70 car did stay out on the racetrack, but it looks like their crew's up on the wall, so I'm going to check in with them and see if they made a mistake.
Well, that's the key, Chris. You mentioned Kevin Buckler staying in. He could have got out. There's that 30-minute rule in terms of getting points, but he's not in the championship chase, so you can actually sacrifice one of the drivers if it's going to get your car a good result.
They're in that AXA 66 Porsche. There it is, just exiting pit lane. Kevin said, mind you, if I am not on the pace, because I haven't driven full-time in more than 2 years, if I am not on the pace, I'm going to get out of this car and give it to Spencer. But if I'm doing okay, I'll have a bit of fun.
I'm actually surprised they didn't sacrifice one of their cars to have a look at the tires since they didn't take tires. I'd want to look at these tires with 97 degrees or so out there running for the first time this weekend. We should say this has been a one-day event. They unloaded this morning. They ran all their practice on the racetrack, their qualifying, and now this race back-to-back. They have no data.
Keep in mind, Kevin's got a very busy schedule today, not only driving and running the sports car team, he has got his NASCAR Sprint Cup team, TRG Motorsports, in action with David Gilliland, starting from points, and he'll start 38. A quick reminder, coming up in 2 weeks' time, we'll be in Birmingham, Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park. If you have not been there yet, I can't encourage you enough to go. Grand Am, you know it's going to be exciting at one of the most spectacular racing venues you will ever see. The undulating, it's short but fast, and it is so beautiful there in Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh yeah, it gets hot there too.
Yeah. Just an FYI.
Africa hot.
So we hear the 70 is in. Here it is.
That's correct, Lee. No miscue on the team's part. Actually, they got in between the pace car and the DPs, so they got the wave by. So this team getting very lucky, went all the way around the racetrack, now coming in for just fuel. Nick Ham staying behind the wheel, and then they're going to be out and have almost an entire lap on the rest of the GT field.
And if you've got sharp eyes, you may have seen a very interested onlooker at that Speed Source camp. It's Bill Riley, the man, the designer who owns the company that built this car. And of course, he doesn't have his own race team in 2009, so he has been going around to various customers and giving them help. He likes working with Sylvain Tremblay, and there he is at the Speed Source camp. We're back to racing.
And the top 5 cars in this race right now have not made a pit stop. Kyle Busch is back in 6th. He's the first of the cars that have made their stop. So in front of him, those 5 cars within the next 10 minutes or so will need to make their first stop of the day.
Remember, every car by Grand Am rules has to make a mandatory stop within the first 45 minutes of the race. Every driver has to complete 30 minutes if you want championship points. Dorsey, you remember what it was like to be a young driver. How must Ricky Taylor feel leading this motor race?
Well, that'll pump him up. There's no question about that. What he wants is another yellow to come out now so he can get that pit stop done. Probably won't happen, though. This race doesn't usually have a lot of yellows.
Look at John Pugh now up to second. This car had a massive off in one of the earlier practice sessions today. The Shank boys worked tirelessly to get this car on the grid. John Pugh had a spin there. Did he get nudged by JC as they ended up onto the banking?
Well, we did make contact with him, and that's a good thing. Like you said, they replaced the whole front end and the left side of this car right before this race started. And I was having trouble with refiring it. That's a flame out the back, no problem there.
Mike Shank Racing cannot catch a break right now. They really can't. Ohio was devastating. Local race, and here we see it in the braking zone. Turns in.
Oh, yeah, a little bump right there.
I knew JC was close. He wanted to go, and John was kind of waiting to get on the power.
That's a slippery corner, Calvin. As you know, there's no downforce on the car right there at all. It's flat. You're not back up on the bank yet.
Remember, these cars stayed out, so they probably have a little bit of pickup on the tires. When you stay out on the warm Pirellis, you're going to get more pickup as you're trying to clean those off so we get back to green flag.
There is the lead margin. Ricky Taylor in the Lennox. Bayer Racing. Chevy Riley slicing through the traffic, and it's not just traffic, it's past one of its key competitors, the 99 by the 12, Gainsco over Penske, and that was a nice move there by John Fogarty over Timo Bernard.
Yeah, JC is going to get a stop and go for that contact with the 6 for avoidable contact there, so that will hurt their day. They had a very fast car here.
Memo Rojas just tiptoeing through there.
That's the second slipperiest corner on the racetrack, if not the slipperiest. In another corner that you're so slow, there's no downforce, no mechanical grip in that corner. Got to have patience.
About 140 miles an hour there as they sweep through the kink on the infield up to about 150, and then back down on the brakes. All the way down to about 55 miles an hour minimum speed through that hairpin, and then power down. You've got to manage these tires. It is hot out there today.
So you've got the Bayer Racing car leading the way from the Brumos Porsche, but we know this car we're looking at is going to come to pit road. So we ride with Mark Patterson, who will be elevated to second, and he has got Kyle Busch immediately behind him, then Memo Rojas. Here they come.
One thing we've got to watch up ahead here is with JC France, knowing he's got to come into pits. Where does he decide to slow that car up, and does he catch these guys out? Do they know he's about to come into pits on this lap?
JC will be pretty wild about that. He'll say, come on, I've done a lot worse than that, never done a drive-through penalty, but it was just one of those things in an awkward spot.
Now watch up here, because you got to make this transition from the banking down onto the flat, and with the speed these cars are going, Calvin, 150, 155 in this area, you got to get it right.
JC stays out for this lap as they go through the tri-oval here. So Mark Patterson will be looking for a way by, but meanwhile the O2 car, he gives Memo Rojas a path down the inside. Mike Hull would have been on the radio saying, that's our championship leader, Kyle, let him through.
Oh, trouble ahead. One of the Porsche just pulled off, just in time of the leaders.
That's the Orbit Porsche, the 34 of John McMullen, and he's off to the side and in safe ground.
That looked pretty bad, Calvin. That car was dead sideways in the track up there.
Now this is a job that the O2 can do and do well. Get in between the 01 and the 99. Yeah. Get in between the 01 and anyone that's trying to challenge this car for the championship. That's the benefit of having sister cars. Ricky Taylor still leads this race by over 4 seconds, but he is yet to stop. That's the key thing.
Well, everyone within the next 13 minutes or so will need to make that mandatory pit stop. Everyone, that is, who's in front of Memo Rojas as he takes that position away from Mark Patterson.
Boy, Mark Patterson's car is really loose. I mean, that thing's wagging the tail all over this racetrack right now. So
spoke to Oz Negri after the first practice, and I said, how's the car? He said, not bad, but he said in the chicane over the bumps, it really doesn't have a lot of confidence to the drivers. So he said, Mark's really struggling through there, and here we see the 6 car in pit lane.
Car looks to be in good shape. Michael Valiente taking over. Remember the spectacular drive at Mid-Ohio? Valiente put in for Mike Shank Racing, and you mentioned it, Calvin. They just can't buy any luck. It took 9 guys 3.5 hours to get this car back on track, just to take the green flag today, and now to have that bump out on the racetrack and set them back yet again. This team's got to be wondering about what do they need to do to change their luck.
The Shank cars have been faster in 75% of the practice sessions this year, but they've yet to see a race victory, so that is devastating as the other car now hits pit lane.
Patterson to the lane. JC does not come in. Memo Rojas down the inside, down into 1. So France still has not served his pit lane penalty. Will we see it next time by? He's got another car to buy some time to hold John Fogarty up. And what's happened to the 0-2? It was right there a moment ago. Exciting racing. I need to remind you about the Built Ford Tough 225 live from Kentucky. That's the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. It's a little later this month in 2 weeks' time. July 18, of course, Ron Hornaday on a real roll at the moment. Won the most recent race and currently leads the championship. We welcome you back to Daytona International Speedway, and you're watching Grand Am live on Speed, the Rolex Sports Car Series, sharing the World Center of Racing with NASCAR Sprint Cup, and of course later this evening the Coke Zero 400. How about this young man who goes to the University of Central Florida, the son of two-time World Sports Car champion Wayne Taylor, yeah, the same Wayne Taylor that owns SunTrust Racing. This is his eldest son, and Ricky Taylor leads the race. However, he must perform his mandatory pit stop within the next 8 minutes, 20 seconds.
You know, he's doing what he's got to do right now. He's running down some really fast laps, trying to get as much of a lead as he can, because he knows he's going to have to stop regardless. The other guys have made their stop, so he's just trying to gap himself and get what he can get.
Well, he's about a second off the pace of Memo Rojas, the fastest car out there right now, but nonetheless doing a tremendous job, and the Bio Racing Group have to be ecstatic with the job that they've done here today. They said at Ohio they really struggled, lost a lot of track time with the rainy conditions, but when they come back to a track they know, like this one now, they have a notebook to work from.
Let's talk GT for a moment. Nick leads the way over Eric Lux. There's a big margin between those two cars, and the 67 of Justin Marks is in third. So it's Mazda, Porsche, make it another Porsche with Lee Keen in fourth, and Patrick Dempsey in the Dempsey Racing Mazda is running in the top 5. Here are the two Farnbacher Lowe's Porsches.
Not quite close enough to get a huge draft effect. I mean, you really want to be tucked up underneath a guy if you can be. One thing I saw with Nick Hamda, though, like when he went through that chicane and came up on the banking, he kept it to the bottom lane to run the bottom way around, which is a shorter distance. That's smart for these guys. They don't need all this big racetrack with those cars in the grip they have.
As long as it's not binding up, as you know, Doz, as long as the car runs free through there and you don't feel any RPM scrub through there, that's the way to go. Shorten this racetrack in the lower horsepower GT cars, comparatively speaking, to the faster Daytona prototypes. But this is Lee King going to try and make a move here on Eric Lux. He will give him the road there. I mean, this is the championship leader. They're going to work and play nice together. They've won races together before. Now they're in separate cars, of course.
That was just a setup, complete, easy. Come on by, no problem. Let's use each other as a drafting partner and get going up front.
Wasn't that long ago, Dors, that you and Calvin and I were talking at the top of one of our shows saying, what's going on with Porsche? What's happened to Porsche in Grand Am GT racing? How things can turn around, because including this year's Rolex 24, Porsche has led more than 70% of the laps in this year's Grand Am GT Championship. And here's a terrific scrap between Justin Marks, and then you got Dr. Jim Lowe, and then Patrick Dempsey in behind him. They're all scrapping it out. Good to see the J-Lo car back. It might be the last time we see it this year. It's not in running for position right now, but there's some big plans. There's some big hopes for that team next year. It may be expanding and in for a full Rolex season. So we wish J-Lo Racing and Dr. Jim all the best.
Comes Patrick Dempsey. He's got to be smooth here, got to be patient. Joe Fox will be on the radio giving him the information. That's the key. He's got to tell him, listen, that is not a car for position in front of you. Take your time, make a smart move.
Yeah, the Porsches, Lee, you were talking about before, have been given a couple of things to help their situation. They had a rear tire problem that they really struggled with. Now they've got some vents and blowers to cool that rear tire off on the Porsche, as well as, you know, the front tire was an issue early on. So they've been working. It's been a work in progress. Now the cars are competitive.
I spoke to Greg Lowles here this weekend about the change. He said particularly the new rear suspension is essentially the suspension of the RSR, which is the Porsche that runs in the American Le Mans series. He said we have so much experience with that rear suspension. It's really starting to come into play here as well with the setups.
Emil Asentato on the inside of Patrick Dempsey. Mazda versus Mazda, and it works. Of course, Mazda, Porsche, and Pontiac are the three key marks in Grand Am GT competition. One of our key Pontiac teams has had some harsh luck today. Chris, what happened to the 57?
Yeah, Lee, Daytona typically isn't a strong Pontiac track, but with a new LS6 motor under the hood, we saw a lot of speed out of the 57 car in practice and qualifying, Robin. However, right now, Andrew Davis out of the fight. What happened with the 57?
Well, Andrew was, the car was running pretty hot when he was running up front there behind the Mazda. And we got past the Mazda and looked like the temperature had stabilized for a little while. And then all of a sudden it just went super hot on the water. And he shut the car off in the infield and the engine started to tighten up. Well, it turns out we've done the head gasket. We don't know whether that's like cause or effect, but anyway, the engine started to tighten and we've had to retire the car. So very disappointed, really. The car showed good performance at Daytona for the first time, and obviously we were hoping for a good race, but unfortunately not to be today.
Well, tough day for these guys, but they're already looking at 2010, and Mike Johnson was sharing with me that the team is looking at the Camaro body for next year. Actually, they're already starting to work on the design of that body with Pratt & Miller. It's going to be a joint effort, and John Stevenson excited about trying to get that GM brand to the racetrack.
So that's the update on GT that everybody's still chasing. The Castrol Syntec Mazda RX-8. Here is the new Spirit of Daytona Coyote. We'll tell you more about that when we come back. You're watching the Brumos Porsche 250 live on Speed. And our race leader is in the lane finally. This is in accordance with Grand Am rules. Every car must stop within the first 45 minutes of the race, and he did it with 1 minute to spare. This is Ricky Taylor for Bayer Racing. And a really good, strong, positive run. His teammate Mike Forrest leaps the wall, and Chris is there.
Yeah, Mike Forrest going to get behind the wheel. Great run by these guys, but obviously they're going to lose some track position on this stop. So they're going to get cycled back. The team getting the pit stop done. Everything seemed to be going smooth down here. A little bit slow on the tires up on the front end, but we do have to get a little bit more fuel in this car than what we saw from those cars earlier that pitted on lap 11. And I don't think these guys are going to be able to go the rest of the distance. Just looking at my clock, guys, it's about 1:10 to go in this race. So if we were to go green, I would imagine that car will probably have to come back to pit lane.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think they'll be about 10 laps shy on me, and that will make it to the finish without a lot of help with yellow. But there you see it, Team Chevy. Mike Forrest very excited about this program. He's actually going to take the car down and do a test at Sebring after this race just to get a bit more mileage, and that will really help that team out as well, but showing great form.
We welcome back to the series Ryan Dial. He's running in that 45, the red, black and white car tucked in behind the 10 of Brian Frizzell. The Scotsman is back in Grand Am, hopefully for the remainder of the season, team with Bill Lester in this Dynon BMW-powered Riley, and he is delighted to be back and running very strong. He's fourth at the moment. It's Memo Rojas, John Fogarty. There's only a second between first and second. This is for third and fourth, and behind these guys is Bert Frizzell in the 61.
These guys are on exactly the same strategy, Dorsey. They all both pitted on lap 12. They've got 11 laps on the board right now, so this is for position, and there's no strategy involved there. So Ryan Dial, he's running third here last year, and that was really the last time we saw him with what was quite a full-time ride. So he's very happy, as you said, Lee, to have that full-time ride back and have some familiar footing. He's been with Peter Barron. Peter Barron run teams for the last 5 years, so good chemistry there.
It was interesting in the practice session that the top 5 cars were representative of every engine manufacturer's up there. Now that Dynon BMW is back, that car was fourth. It runs fourth right now.
Well, you've got a Lexus leading the way, over a Pontiac, over a Ford, over a BMW. 4 in the top 4 at the moment. Good close racing in the top 4. Let's take you back just a few moments ago and show you just how hard the race leader, who was just a corner ahead in traffic, is pushing. This is Memo Rojas aboard the Telmex Lexus Riley. Whoa.
We talked about it before. The Ganassi boys love to run really trimmed out here, and that really affects the car in the braking zone.
It's so easy to lock up those front brakes when you're not running downforce as you ride on board right now. Look at her shaking. We got a flat spot, boys. Look at her shake.
Trying to weave through the traffic. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? Inside is the safest.
Well, they really need to see if they can hang on a little bit longer. So if he pits now, he'll need another pit stop to get to the finish. He needs about 10 more laps on the board to do it with just that stop and see the checker.
Calvin is going to have to brake a substantially a lot lighter than he was before, because you can see from that shaking, he's no doubt there's flat spotted front tires. And what they'll do is if you brake hard, is they'll go to that flat spot and they'll stop there again and lock up, and you'll go right through the cord. Then you'll have a problem.
We were sitting around mulling over some statistics yesterday, and we don't just sit around and talk about Calvin's golf game. And Brian actually raised the point that the team that has won this shortened race at Daytona for the past 2 years has gone on to win the championship. It just so happens to be these two teams here, Ganassi and Gainsco, running up front first and second, as we're used to seeing them here at the Speedway.
But watch the Gainsco now will have a huge advantage in the brake zones, because Memo Rojas cannot brake hard anymore. He's going to have to brake at 50% level, and that's going to leave him vulnerable in this short shoot coming up here in a minute there, Calvin.
A lot of these teams stayed over at Mid-Ohio after the last race and did a test. As now traffic plays a part, and Fogarty is right there now, right on the gearbox of Rojas.
Got loose coming off that one, though. I don't know that he realizes that Rojas is on flat spots. He'll know it when he come up here to the inner loop, because he'll have to brake really hard there.
The 99 car had a great test at Ohio, the fastest car there on the Monday test. And Bob Stallings told me, he said, we found the magic sauce. He said the key now is keeping it on the bun, which I love that analogy in terms of finding something at one track. Does it translate to a different racetrack?
Many teams found that Monday productive, just like TRG in GT. At the moment, their best car is a little further down the order. Kevin Buckler is about 6th or 7th in class at the moment. Nick Ham still leads GT over Lee Keen and Eric Lux at the moment. I take it back, best TRG car is Justin Marks, 4th in class. It's Rojas, this man here, Fogarty, Frizzell, Dial, Bert Frizzell, Timo Bernard in the Penske is running 6th at the moment. And he is the best of the Porsche-powered Daytona prototypes out on track at the moment.
I think John Fogarty by now knows he's got an advantage in braking. Watch this down in turn 1. I think he'll try to take advantage of the fact that the 0-1 can't brake at full capacity any longer.
That last third of the straightaway, the 0-1 machine certainly stretches it out there. You see Rojas having to be a little bit tentative down there into turn 1. And the 99 car is certainly stronger there.
Updating you on Kyle Busch, he's doing a good job, he's doing a respectable job. Last time round, a 1:45.92. He was quicker than Timo Bernard in front of him with a 1:46.29, so he is setting respectable lap times.
That's a great performance, but I have to wonder what is up with the 12 car. Everyone sort of like shook their head when the Porsche got the RPMs back and said, you know what, this car is going to win here today. Well, right now they're running 6 and they don't have the pace of the leaders.
I agree with you totally, Calvin. I thought this was the car to beat here.
Chris?
Well, guys, I was talking to the drivers earlier, and they were definitely excited about the speed that they've gotten back on the motor side, but it's really changed the setup on the car, and they were struggling to find a good setup, not only with the more torque that they have, but also the very slippery racetrack. We saw that wicker change earlier, Timo asking for a little bit less downforce at the rear end of the car, so at least he's getting off the corner well. Romain said the car seems to be handling well. However, right now with that wicker change, he's running out of gear on the front straightaway. So what that means is the car is getting into the rev limiter before he needs to get into the brake zone, so not getting as much speed out of that Porsche as they could down the straightaways. And I just checked in with the 01, Tim Keen, saying that the flat spot on that car isn't all that bad. Mamo should be able to continue to drive it, so don't plan on seeing the 01 come to pit lane.
That's a great point about running out of gear, because we saw the 99 car just steam by those guys a few laps ago, and that would make sense. You suddenly just stall out, Dorsey.
It was something I was thinking about earlier on, too, because these guys aren't used to drafting and getting that extra advantage. You know, you might need a taller gear than a couple hundred RPM more than what you would have normally run here.
Isn't it fabulous to see these teams going blow for blow? This is one of the great rivalries in Grand Am sports car competition, Gainsco and Ganassi, and it is far from done. Is Pruitt going to do what the 61 did? He comes one. Is Pruitt going to do what the 61 did? He comes one high. Who's going to get it to the line? Pruitt gets it. Wow, just when you thought the Gates Cowboys had it wrapped up. 0.08 of a second was the winning margin. How about that? What a finish that was, and what a season for close finishes 2008 was in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. Of course, the closest was up in Montreal. We're heading there soon, next month. And just look at the margins of victory. 64 thousandths, 81 thousandths. It was very, very close.
You notice Dorsey Lee doesn't call the finish now till the car's actually in victory lane.
What was it? That wasn't his first time, was it? We got you that time, buddy. Look at this. How close can it be? Two great
It's
shots.
close on the inside. Fogarty, we've got a new race leader.
His car is just much stronger, Dorsey, right now into those brake zones, and that looked easy.
It was inevitable, really. You know, with the flat-spotted tires, I mean, you just can't push it. You got to just ride it out. If you go long enough, you can get that sort of, they'll come back around for you a little bit.
30 laps on the board, though, and I think within the next 5 laps or so, Timmy Keane may make the call to bring the 01 in. You want to be the first guy to pit and be able to make it to the checkered flag here this afternoon, and he's going to be getting very close to that window.
Look back here at the third place battle. That's still Ryan Dial trying to find a way by Brian Frizzell. And they've been going at it. He's been looking up the inside. Mike's got to run on him here. If you can get the power down. Now they're side by side up on the bank.
BMW versus Ford. Riley versus Dallara. Side by side. The young American and the 27-year-old Scotsman. And Dial just thrilled to be back in Grand Am Series competition. Who will break the latest? Here they come down into the bus stop. Brian Frizzell's got the advantage at the moment.
I don't think he's going to keep it. Ryan Dial's going to force his way to the inside. The locally based Orlando boy now takes away that third spot. He loves Daytona. He ran well here last year. And who can forget that performance he put on a few years ago in the Samex car when he was battling with Montoya for the race lead.
And you saw the discipline of Brian Frizzell. Once he knew he got to the point of no return, he just let it happen, didn't slow themselves up.
Let's talk more about the 45 with Brian Till. Go for it, Brian.
And remember Dial's win at Laguna Seca. It was fantastic drive as well. The crew just talking to him on the radio saying, you're the fastest car on the racetrack. Track down the leaders, get close to them. We'll get them on these pit stops. So everybody's got one stop to go. And if Dial can close just a little bit closer, it may be a 3-horse race for the win.
I'll tell you what, Bill Lester did his part in this as well. A very good qualifying effort up in the top 10 and really held his own in the early going as Dial gets loose there under entry for the hairpin.
Good to see Steve Dynan and that BMW power back too, for that matter. I mean, that engine is a very potent possible winner or contender for the championship. Nobody had been running it for a while.
It's a bit of a gap back to the next driver, and that is Bert Frizzell. That's Brian's older brother. He maintains a very strong 5th for the 61A Motorsport team. Can remember that they started at the back of the Daytona prototype pack after an aerodynamic infraction post-qualifying. So that's a really good come through from the back. Timo Bernard is 6th. Kyle Busch maintains his position in 7th, getting ready to hand over to Scott Speed. Speaking of Scott's, Mr. Daytona, Scott Russell is in 8th. Tracy Crone 9th, and Oswaldo Negri for Mike Schenck Racing has taken over from Mark Patterson. He's in 10th.
Board here with Brian Frizzell. Been doing a tremendous job here this year. Just the team was so unlucky at the last round at Ohio. They really looked like they were going to get their first victory of the season, which would have vaulted them to the championship lead, and just bad luck. Yellow came out as they'd already passed the pit lane. Along with this car, this is the second of the 2 front runners at Ohio got caught out by that caution and the timing of it. But Bert Frizzell and this team are really a team on the rebound. Led the early laps at Ohio, sat on the pole here last year, led the early going until a flat caused Mark Wilkins to have a huge spin that he somehow kept off the wall and got it to pit lane. But they have the secret magic here at Daytona, that's for sure.
Real family affair. Brian Frizzell ahead. This is Bert Frizzell, their father Brad, a Sebring 12-hour race winner, works within the A Motorsport organisation with Ian Willis and Andrew Bourdin, and keeps an eye on his son. Meanwhile, his other one is off at Wayne Taylor's SunTrust Racing. This is strong. Remember, this car and this team is a 2-time Grand Am Daytona prototype winning team. Last year, they won poles, they won races.
Well, they found their way with the setup finally. It was all about the spring split, and now when they take that same spring split to different racetracks, Dorsey, they can go back to last year's setup. Just a subtle difference with the Pirelli tire this year. They finally found that secret ingredient.
Yeah, they're back on par as far as speed goes, no question about it. This car could go back to victory circle at any race from this point forward.
say spring split again. Kyle Busch we ride with now. The Waste Management 02. Lexus-powered Riley for Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. First time in Grand Am. His older brother Kurt has done the Rolex 24 a couple of times, finished on the podium for Penske Taylor Racing last year. But this is Kyle's first time. Remember, he was the Coke Zero 400 winner a year ago. So he knows the Speedway very, very well, but he's learning Daytona prototypes very quickly.
Well, both the Busch brothers are really good road racers. I'll never forget a few years ago, Kurt Busch got invited down to run a champ car at Sebring. I stood there in amazement as the first lap out, he was hard on the power and ultimately lapped within just a...
Oh, trouble there as he misses the brake area again, second time. Doing the right thing, coming to a stop now, get going again, but he probably flat spotted tires, probably come in now and get some
well, he's getting close to the window, though. I mean, it worked out for him for his first stop. He's 33 laps in, close to being able to make it. If he pitted, might be tired. I think 35 is the lap they need to make it to.
The brakes is one of the big differences between driving the car he's used to in this car. That sequential gearbox, you know, he's having to pull the gears back. It's completely different. The brakes on these cars are so much more efficient than what they are on a big car that he's used to.
It's all about brake control and release. It's just not how fast can they stop this car. It's when he gets to that turn-in point, it seems like he's struggling a little bit with just releasing the pedal and letting that front end tuck in.
Scott Speed is standing by. He will take over the wheel of the 02 Daytona prototype from Kyle Busch. Let's give you a quick update on GT because Nick Ham continues to lead the way in his Speed Source Mazda RX-8 over the Farnbacher Lowe's Porsches of Lee Keen and Eric Lux. The second Speed Source Mazda is fourth, and Kevin Buckler is up into fifth. Enjoy the ride aboard the Mazda for just a moment. Problems. We're going to puncture here. We're going to puncture for Rojas, the race leader.
Was that lockup, Dorsey? Did he go through to the course?
Yeah, I think he did, but he needs to get down off the banking. He's not doing himself any favors being up there. Get down on the flat, get off that racing surface right, you know, where he's at right now. I think it is probably as a result of that locked up tire. We talked about every time you brake, it wants to hit that same spot.
That's NASCAR 2, Dorsey. He's got a long way to go.
A long, long way to go. But what he doesn't want to do, Calvin, is be up on the banking, loading that thing even harder, because once that carcass comes apart, it can blow the whole front bodywork off that car, and then they got more problems.
Well, we've seen this team work their magic strategy-wise so many times, but right now I think he may be okay. The good news is they're halfway through this event. I think Scott Pruitt, when he gets on board, may be able to make it to the finish if the car gets back to pit lane without an additional stop this afternoon for fuel.
Well, see what he did there was real smart. He blew off the interlude, he slowed up like he was supposed to, and went on. Take a look here where this goes. Right as
just kicks off the wall.
Good job. Good job. I take that back, of course. At that point in time, he wasn't the race leader. John Fogerty had grabbed the lead just a few moments ago. But this is sheer frustration. There's Tim Keen, team manager at Chip Ganassi Racing on the Daytona prototype side of things.
Well, they were just rolling the dice. They realized they'd flat spotted that time, but they needed to get this mark in the race, so they didn't need to make 2 more pit stops this afternoon.
That's Bob Stallings. Remember we said about this wonderful rivalry, Gainsco and Ganassi. That's the man who owns and runs this operation, as Memo Rojas has done a good job getting this car back to pit lane with minimal body damage. Chris Neville standing by.
Well, when I talked to Tim Keen earlier, they didn't think they were going to have this problem. That's why they left Memo Rojas out there. Obviously, everything went bad. This tire going down, absolutely shredded. The team was ready for it. I brought a new nose over just in case that this tire ripped up the nose on this car, but it looks like it's in good shape. All the fasteners still in place, so this pit shop shouldn't take too long. Tire's already done, Pruitt behind the wheel, just waiting on fuel, but the problem is they've already dropped back to 13th, guys. They've already dropped back to 13th.
They have a fast car. They need a caution this afternoon to get to the sharp end of this field.
Just one full course caution so far today. As we said right at the top of the show, we've seen this racing, Grand Am racing at Daytona International Speedway go as long as 100 laps without a caution in the Rolex 24. This race is only 70 laps long. Dramas for the 70. What has happened here?
Ooh, that was an early spin. Nick Ham looked like he might have locked rear. Yeah, listen here. Oh, mismatched downshift. You hear that?
Yeah.
He popped it down into the lower gear without getting the engine revved up, and it's just locked the back wheels.
They'll be low on fuel, so sometimes that changes the weight distribution, lightens up the rear end a little bit. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch is in, the other Ganassi car.
Kyle jumps out.
Kyle getting out of the car, Scott Speed getting ready to have his first taste of Rolex competition. Kyle came, got the car under control coming into pit lane down to that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, but then was a little bit slow from the cones to the pit box. So the team here kind of waving them on. Come on, get it down here. We got to be quick here. We're in a really good position, still up in the top 10, running 7th right now. Now this team was the team that ran Rob Finley and Michael Valiente back in '06. They've pretty much just been working out of the shop the past couple years, but they are still a well-oiled machine, and this is the car that won the Rolex 24 back in 2006.
Jason Sobush, the crew chief here, and he said all the boys from the shop are pleased to get out of the shop, but saying that, I'm not quite sure if we're that pleased to be here this weekend with this humidity and temperature. But a good solid run so far, and the test that they did at Putnam Park in Indianapolis went very, very well earlier this week.
So Andy Brown, a renowned IndyCar engineer, on their pit box this morning. I spoke to Mike Hull about it. He's one of their main guys at Ganassi Racing in the R&D development area, and he said, really, it's just great to get a fresh perspective from new drivers coming in. You never stop learning, even though they're leading the championship.
Scott Speed struggling with something on top of his helmet. I don't know if that was his radio hookup that he was trying to grab far up there, but he was having a little bit, got almost in trouble there too.
Angelelli has grabbed the wheel from Brian Frizzell. Well done, Brian Frizzell, is what we can say. Good opening stint. Now it's up to the Axe to bring it home.
See how confusing it is trying to get all that stuff in there. Now, the trouble here, the 90 off the road.
Garcia.
This will be a full course caution. That was now for one of the high-end speed parts of the racetrack.
Well, the 10 car have now caught a break because they got their pit stop done before the yellow. Remember, Ohio was a reverse situation. So all of those other lead cars, now the 99 car, the Fogarty machine.
Right rear tire is gone, boys. I think we've had a right rear up on the banking is what I think.
So we saw the problem at Ohio where it was the 10 car that caught out, the leader of the race. Now, right now, the 99 car. Similar scenario, they're about to pit. And they've got caught out by the timing of this caution. Pit lane is closed.
What is it today with the boys who won the Rolex 24? First it was David Donahue out. Now Antonio Garcia, who shared that 58 with him earlier this year, is also out of the race. That's not the debut they were looking for that new Coyote for Spirit of Daytona Racing. There's Alex Gurney standing by. He'll take over the wheel of this car, the 99. We will squeeze in a commercial break while we're under this second full course caution. We come back, we'll have lots more for you. You're watching Grand Am live on Speed.
MotoGP. Hela helgen. Bara på Viasat Motor.
the need for gear, if you feel the need for gear, just hit the store at shopspeedtb.com. T-shirts, hats, jackets, plenty more. This is serious gear for serious fans. That's you, that's right. And the place to go is shopspeedtb.com. We welcome you back to Grand Am here on Speed. This is the Brumos Porsche 250. And just take a look at the thermometer on the right-hand side of the dash in the cockpit here with Oswaldo Negri Jr. for Mike Shank Racing.
It's actually dropped 5 degrees from when they were running really hard before. They're up to 115, but we're behind the pace car. Full course caution is out.
That's not good for the driver's psyche, Dorsey. Just on my heart is getting in there.
It's going to get hotter. Look at the damage on this car, boys.
That's devastating because this team was so excited. The car tested really well at Ohio, just a few hundredths behind the fastest car on the track, the 99 that day, and really made big gains.
Top 2 in the race. Here we go. 99.45. John Fogarty and Ryan Dial. Dial has already taken over from Bill Lester. However, the 99 Gainsco car needs to execute a driver change. Gurney is ready, so too's our Brian Till.
John Fogarty right on the marks in the 99. He jumps out. Alex Gurney sliding behind the wheel. I had listened to the scanner a bit earlier. Fogarty talking about the car not turning in particularly well and having difficult time putting the power down. New tires may take care of that problem. Routine down here, Chris.
Yeah, very quick stop by the Penske group. Still trying to get their driver buttoned up in here, so a little bit slow in the driver change. For the past few races, we've seen Timo back clean up on the 12 car, but now it's going to be Romain Dumont, and that's exactly what he wanted today. He wanted the shorter stint because of the heat. Earlier today, he was just having a very difficult time with the cockpit temperature, so he said, hey, I gotta try and hopefully do a little bit shorter stint. Well, that's exactly what he's going to get. Brian?
Down on this end, the 99, Alex Gurney got everything gathered up, got out in front of the 12, so a reasonable pit stop for those guys, just making sure, taking the time to make sure everything was buttoned up. It's going to be the run to the checkered.
But as you saw, the 12, the Penske, the Verizon Wireless Porsche got out ahead of Ryan Dial in the 45 machine. So pretty swift work there for those boys in a position gain. The fight will take place on the track once we get going. Need to remind you about something interesting that's going on. It's been going on all year long. It is the Sunoco Driver Challenge. Now, when we return here to the World Center of Racing early next year for the 2010 Rolex 24, there'll be a driver here getting a bonus drive. Someone who's competing in either the British GT, British F3, Speed or Radical UK Cup. And whoever amasses the most points set against certain criteria throughout this season will get that bonus drive in a Daytona prototype. And here are your current points leaders.
Well, there you see 2 guys tied at the top, and Dorsey, I keep looking for your name to crop up there. You're going to sneak over to Europe and get a ride in this somewhere?
Nah, I don't think so.
John Fogarty, hard work, but G did well.
Just got some cold water as he climbed out of the car. John, great drive out there, and I know taking over the lead must have felt good.
Yeah, you know, those guys were real quick down the straights once again, and I knew we were needing to get by them somewhere out on the racetrack if we wanted to have a shot at winning this thing. It looks like they ran into trouble, so in a sense it was all for naught, and I wrung myself out. But that was good. Memo and I were racing clean, so you know, it's good. We're Gainsco Auto Insurance cars in a great position. Alex, I think, is still in the lead. We had a pretty good stop, so I think that's it until the end of the race.
Second half of the season coming up, and I don't know if you believe in omens, but the team that won this race the past 2 seasons has won the championship. You guys are out in front right now. Maybe that championship's coming back.
Sounds like you're trying to jinx us. No, that's great. You know, it's a truncated season, a little bit shorter, halfway mark. Be great to get up there in the points again and get in command for the second half. So we're coming to a bunch of good tracks. It's great for the Gainsco team. Alex and I both love everything that's coming up, so we're looking good.
Track conditions right now?
It's miserable.
You heard him, guys, miserable. I think on the track and in the cockpit as well.
He's going to dive for some shade and some fluid, rehydrate and rest. Job well done for John Fogarty, but does the 99 have enough to get there? We'll find out.
87 out in front of the 70.
Still under caution here at Daytona, an appropriate time to remind you about the Chip Foose Pirelli Edition Ford Flex giveaway. Legendary designer Chip Foose doing some great work on this special Pirelli Edition Ford Flex. And if you would like a chance to win it, you've got to go to grand-am.com/Foose and enter the prize word to have a chance of winning. Did I say prize word? That's all you have to do. And people have done it. And we congratulate these winners already this year from VIR in New Jersey, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, the Glen, and most recently, Jonathan Foster was our winner from Mid-Ohio. We've still got plenty of races to go this year, and everyone who is an individual round winner will be going to the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. We're ready to go racing again, and things are looking good for the SunTrust. Wayne Taylor Dallara out in front with Max Angelelli at the helm.
What irony, when they had the bad luck at Ohio, they just got a little bit of a break here. Both they and the 61 car, who currently runs in third spot, had made their final pit stop and then caught the break with the pit lane being closed for the leaders.
There's no doubt that the big teams, the big boys, get the lion's share of the limelight, but we love to heap praise on the smaller teams that get up front, like the 13, the Bayer racing car, that Lennox Chevy-powered Riley. Mike Forrest behind the wheel, that is legitimately in second place.
Well, he's done a tremendous job.
Contact back there sends one of the guys
really loose there through the kink. The 40 car is off. That's Joe Foster behind the wheel, just trying to keep it together.
Joe got hit. He got pushed sideways on that corner. Everybody got congested. One of those cars in that fray was Alex Gurney trying to find his way through. Cold tires, remember, for a lot of these cars.
Joe Foster had a great run going to Ohio, was up to third spot, and then got
hit right there. The 60. Yeah, the 60.
Oz.
Got into it. There was a bunch of guys going for position. Take a look here.
Yeah, Oz just went to the outside lane to go around that GT traffic, and Joe Foster wasn't cleared. So he was an innocent bystander there. Keeps it together. He's playing Chicaneville with those wreckers down there. Not good.
Lucky boy, you're going fast there. You get that grass, well, there's a wrecker sitting down there. It doesn't look good.
In GT, just to update you on the stops, that the 86 has got out very effectively. Wolf Hensler leads Dirk Werner. Sylvain Tremblay, the 70, the pole-sitting car, back in third. Race leader, though, Max Angelelli, and he's stretching his legs. They really want to be in this championship, in contention for this championship. In 2009, they put so much into it. They had such a dreadful season as far as bad luck last year. You remember the transporter fire, losing all of their equipment, their car. Well, solid is lightning fast. This is an initiative from the company, SunTrust, to deliver everyday banking solutions. It's all about their mobile and online banking products. But I tell you what, this car is lightning fast today. Let's go down to the SunTrust camp. Chris?
Lee, only two teams have led a lap at each of the events this year, the 01 car and the 10 car. Wayne, even though your team hasn't won this year, you've led a lap in all the events. That's got to make you feel pretty good.
Well, it does, but it was feeling pretty good at the last race, and then we got caught out by, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, it's never over till it's over, so I'm not going to... I'm just going to watch and make sure Max gets all the information he needs, and he's going to drive as hard as he can.
It was a tough break at Mid-Ohio with that yellow coming out, but today it kind of goes back the other way.
Yeah, it does. You win and lose some of these events, and it's always hard. I think from a competitive standpoint, maybe they should implicate a new rule. If a car just stops, the standing yellow. But today it's playing in for us. We've still got a long way to go.
What about that 13 car wandering around behind you? Are they going to be a friend or a foe?
No. I mean, Ricky did a great job, leading the race, and now Mike's up to second. We obviously don't have to stop again. They do. So, but they're the enemy like everybody else.
Well, he might be saying that now, but when I initially came up, guys, first thing out of his mouth was, what do you think of Ricky in the 13?
He's very proud. Very proud. His other son, of course, Jordan, is sharing with Jared Byron in the number 5 car. They've switched from Honda Power to Chevy Power this weekend as well.
There's been a penalty handed down to Oswaldo Negri and the Mike Shank Ford, the number 60, for that contact with Joe Foster. So Oz will have to come to the lane.
Well, like I always say, though, cautions breed cautions. These restarts with mixed fields, it's just so easy. Cold tires. There's Oz. You can tell by his eyes he's not really happy about the whole fact, but he'll have to come on pit lane. We'll take a look at what happened. I mean, it's just congestion. Everybody going for positions. Watch here in the center of the screen. The black and orange car is going to hit this Mazda right about now.
Tried to thread the needle, and the needle didn't have a big enough eye, Dorsey.
Now, but this is a wild ride for Joe Foster, as you said, because you're going so fast around that grass. And right in front of him up here, there's a whole bunch of records that are parked.
The Mike Shank Ford displaying some new sponsorship this weekend. The Lab Series skincare brand. Of course, they've got Sean Jean fragrances aboard it as well. It's all part of the Estee Lauder group of companies.
You wear some of his clothes, don't you?
And the fragrance, too.
Okay, I get it. You're ganging up on me today. You're going to cop it when we go to Barber.
Look at this. Big scrum here. 13 car. The 99 car with Gurney, though, is on the charge. And right behind him is Ryan Dial.
Well, we enjoy this. It's been a very productive day for the Frizzell boys. Let's hear from one of them.
Well, we talked about how the team really came back on 2008 form back at Mid-Ohio, and Bert, I know that's going to make you guys feel so good, but was it tough the first half of this season trying to find where that sweet spot in the car was?
Oh, it's brutal. When you think you're getting into a perfectly sorted race car and then you're searching for grip, it's tough, but Ian figured it out. We had a great test at the Glen, and I think it's shown. I think Mid-Ohio is where Mark and Brian turned it around in 08, and sure enough, it's where Mark and I turned it around in 09.
The 61 was just so dominant the second half of last year. Should we expect that this year too?
That's what we're hoping for. I think now we're showing that. I mean, in Mid-Ohio, the 10 car and us were running 1-2. With the yellow, it caught us out. Today, it helped us, and we're working hard, and we got the best power in the business.
Well, like you said, like the 10 car, they got caught out by that yellow, but hopefully not today. Brian?
Mike Shank down here trying to keep track of both of his cars. And Mike, I don't know what you guys have done, but you can't buy a break. Contact with Oz, that's going to bring him through on the drive-through. How much bad luck have you guys had, not just this weekend, but this year?
Check it out, Brian. I mean, we have had tons of problems. I don't know. We got to do something to get this black car out. The cars are good. We got Michael up there. If we can get another yellow, we can get Oz back up there, too, with the Sean John car.
So not giving up yet?
We're not giving up. I mean, we're about dead here. My guys have worked their butt off all day today. They've done a great job.
Remember, guys, they had to get the 6 car out after the damage in the practice session this morning. They're not giving up, just like Mike Shank said.
And the 6 is in 6th. Meanwhile, Oswaldo returns to the track, plays catch up. When we come back, we'll tell you who is where in GT. those of you just joining us, this is what's happened in the race thus far. Kyle Busch making his Grand Am debut. He was running pretty quick at the beginning too. Couple of lockups, but he put in a really good opening stint. Tracy Crone contact there with the 61 AIM Autosport car. The AIM car was in the middle of everything. Bert Frizzell and Mark Patterson here. No contact there, but just an anxious moment. Front right tyre blowout here puts Eric Lux into Kelly Collins. Wasn't Eric's fault. He was a passenger there, and both boys a lucky escape. Brief contact there between JC Francis and John Pugh. Then a pass for the lead. Fogarty on Rojas. These two guys raced hard and clean for a long period of time. Good battle for third place as well. And Ryan Dial pressured Brian Frizzell, and the Scotsman took over a top 3 position. Then while running second, a tyre drama for Memo Rojas. He flat spotted, and obviously was flat spotted too severely, and it wore down. And Memo had to wrestle that car all the way back to pit road. Then while leading GT, Nick Ham ran into problems heading into the Eastern Horseshoe. That's what it sounded like for Nick. The 70 Speed Source Mazda still very much in contention. Scott Speed is aboard this 02 Waste Management Ganassi Lexus Riley. We ride with at the moment. The Rolex race summary has been a little bit of everything today.
There certainly has, and I have to question on some of the GT cars whether they're going to be good on fuel. Talking fuel numbers this morning up and down pit lane, they're going to be squeaking it really close to not need to splash here before the finish today.
One thing we haven't underscored enough so far today is the high humidity and high temperatures here in Florida. These boys are working overtime. Take a look at Lee Keane down in the Farnbacher Lowes camp.
Lee Keane just climbed out of that 87, and Lee, you're looking lean and mean, and this heat doesn't seem to be bothering you quite so much. You guys having a great season, 3 wins. How's the car today?
The car is awesome. One-day deal here, so everything moves really fast. Had a problem this morning in warm-up. Got 2 laps in practice, then 2 laps for qualifying, and then started the race. So, so far, so good. We're in first. Dirk's in, and 70 cars fast, but Dirk, best as it gets right now, so if he can stay in front, we can win this thing, extend our championship lead.
When you talk about the championship lead, 3 wins on the season, 3 wins in the last 4 races. You go to that second half with the lead. You guys thinking about the championship right now, or are you taking it race by race?
Well, we didn't like Mid-Ohio because there's a lot of stuff to hit, and I've hit stuff there before. This track is real safe, and we're kind of programmed here for the 24 race to be safe and kind of make the car last. So we were looking forward to this race. We've been good out of the box every race, so we have an advantage, and you can see it.
And they've got good tire wear today too. They're not having those tire problems that the 86 is, Chris.
Well, when you think about strong teams in GT at Daytona, TRG is always one of them. Kevin, you've led this team to a lot of wins here, but today you're back behind the wheel and the car running fit. You got to be pretty happy.
Yeah, I was pretty good. You know, I just didn't want to make a mistake. I figured what you guys would do to me on air would have been not worth the price of admission. Right. So all 4 cars are in the top 10. The guys are doing great. All the drivers out there, man, it's hot. We're doing our best. That little AXA car that I was pedaling, our good friend Brent Koch from AXA and all the boys from that company are working real hard right now to try to put together a prototype program for us for next year. So I wanted to come down. I wanted to do this race. We got the Cup program tonight, and hopefully we can put the car on the podium. So I'm just glad I didn't screw anything up.
Well, maybe not giving you a hard time, but we're looking at a lot of young drivers right now. They're having a hard time with the heat. You just got out of a long stint. You're looking real fresh.
No problem. No, it was all right. It really is really hot. I think everybody was taxed pretty good on that first stint, and the yellow came out at an opportune time. So thanks a lot.
Well, guys, already only halfway through this season, we're starting to hear some great stuff about 2010. Looks like TRG might be doing a prototype.
Well, Kevin was right about one thing. I'm looking over here at Calvin's notes, and he was ready to blast him one. He made a mistake.
Double duty. Have a look at that. What's going on here on a massive day at the World Center of Racing. Of course, the Coke 0400 later on tonight. This is the Brumos Porsche 250. And lots of team owners doing double duty here today. To update you, we were talking GT there for a moment. To go back to the championship in Daytona prototypes, the top 3 in the championship are separated like this as far as on track. Angelelli, who is 3rd in the championship, is leading. He's got 7.5 seconds over Alex Gurney, who's 2nd in the championship. Where is the championship leader, Scott Pruitt? 58 seconds back in 13th place. Pruitt's going to need another caution to get back in this race.
He really is. He has a lot of fast cars between he and the leader as well, so he needs a caution to really bunch everything back up, but no one's going to make it an easy path for him to get back to the front. We're going to take a hit in the points today.
We may have those points as of now, yes. So the margin would be 11. That's how they stand right now. So that 11-point buffer between Pruitt, Rojas, Fogarty, Gurney, and then Angelelli, etc. We'll update that as we get closer to the end of this race to show you who is where. Can the 01 claw its way up? Chris?
Well, Tim King down here on the radio. Tim, we saw the 99 have problems at Watkins Glen, the 10 car at Mid-Ohio, and now you guys having a rough day in the championship. We get another caution. You guys going to be okay?
We'll be okay. That's what we're hoping for, is a caution. I mean, Pirelli built a great tire, and we messed them up.
Mamo drove quite a while on that tire. Any other damage to the car, or is everything good?
No, everything's okay. It rubbed the splitter a little bit, but we're okay. We're just hoping for a caution. We got a really fast car if you look at the times. I mean, we just need to get caught back up.
Well, they need to get caught back up, but then they'll be in all that traffic, and it's not going to be easy to get back to the front.
It certainly isn't. It's Angelelli, Gurney, Dial is up to third, Wilkins fourth, Valiente is in fifth. Wouldn't that be a remarkable story if Valiente can get that car on the podium?
Hey guys, you guys still have your headsets on?
There we go. Yeah, we got you.
Hey, just to let you know, I just listened to the 12 car come through the tri-oval, and you can hear it hitting the rev limiter just past the 3 brake marker. So really just past the start-finish line by maybe 50 yards.
I tell
think
you
it's
what,
into the rev limiter.
I'd love to hear what Roger Penske has to say about that one.
Yeah. That's a miscue.
That is a huge, huge faux pas.
I actually had that thought earlier in the day.
That's killing him.
It doesn't kill the motor, too.
Good point.
And you knew that the racetrack would have to build grip. I think it would.
Yeah.
Each and every year before this event, the drivers and teams head down to Camp Boggy Creek. This is a wonderful place just south of Daytona, and it facilitates children who have chronic or life-threatening illnesses. And the camp, it's pretty basic really. They just want to give the kids fun. They want to empower them physically, they want them to be safe and medically sound. They want to give them a memorable and exciting experience. Just get them back to being kids again. The drivers go down, they have a charity golf course that's a competition that's run by the Frizzell brothers. They raise money for a very worthy cause, and it was again a good trip. I think they may switch it before the Rolex 24 next year to even get more drivers and people down there. Cal, you and I have been down there. It's a wonderful place. The kids are terrific. It's completely free for the parents, but it relies on donations, and it is certainly a very worthy charity. It's the official charity of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series.
It really is a beautiful place, and it really puts their life in perspective when you go down there and see that
trouble here.
Problem here. The 09 may have been involved in this. There he is.
Well, they were in a big scrap for 6th place, and there was 3 cars going at it. This guy Cosmo's around backwards, and I don't think he's made contact with the tire barrier, but he gets it refired.
Tough day for Spirit of Daytona. Lance Wilsey was in the 34 Porsche.
Here you go, the 13, the 09, and the 12 have been battling.
There wasn't enough room there.
No,
Similar to the Oz Negri situation, guy kind of threaded the hole there that wasn't big enough. Running in the 7th spot.
3 wide, you just can't do it. There's no grip. That's that place I was telling you about before that's so slow and no grip at all there.
Try to take the 6th position away from Mike Forrest in the 13K. He's back underway, and we believe this may be the last outing for he and Scott Russell, for the time being at least, as they now focus on the 90 machine. That is the Spirit of Daytona car team. Hopefully we'll see these boys back sooner rather than later.
More on the 09, Brian.
I was talking to Troy Fliss earlier today, Calvin, and you're right. The 09, he said, you know, basically we want to continue the development of this Coyote chassis. That's what the 90 is. We literally don't have any more parts for the 09. We need to continue the development of the newest Coyote, and that is the 90, so that's what they'll do. Scott Russell and Guy Cosmo will still be around Grand American Racing. They're going to run in the Coney Challenge Series. He tells me they want to keep them around in case they find additional sponsorship to run a second car, and certainly that's what they'd like to do next year. But expect to see the 90 with Buddy Rice and Garcia in it for the remainder of the season. The 09 will go back to the shop.
The 10 of Max Angelelli continues to lead this race by over 7 seconds over the 99 of Alex Gurney. Ryan Dial in the 45 is up to 3rd, but this is one of these stories of the day. This car's front end was virtually wrecked before this race earlier today. You heard the boys say 9 crew members to take 3 hours to fix this car just to make it to the start line. John Pugh was involved in a spin early in the race. He had a good promising start but was turned around. They got it back to the lane, and Michael Valiente, the Canadian from Vancouver, is taking this to the front.
He's absolutely flying, and we've seen him lead the timesheet so many times this year, Dorsey. The car just rolls off the truck quick every weekend, every racetrack they go to, but they just can't buy a break. But right now, they have a healthy race car in the 4th spot. Valiente is running times a little bit quicker than the leaders, and he just needs a little bit of break in traffic, maybe a caution to be right there. Maybe this is it.
There's a 85, the Porsche spun. That's in the exit of turn 1, more or less. Trying to get underway again. That car was not wrecked a little bit. I got to tell you, the whole front end, both sides, left and right, the entire left side bodywork, the under tray. I mean, those mechanics worked feverishly. I couldn't believe they even got it done.
The 3rd Fun Bucker Lowell's car, the 85, gets going again. This is the battle in GT. We ride with Sylvain Tremblay, team principal in the 70 Speed Source Mazda, chasing the 87 of Dirk Werner. This is a familiar storyline and a familiar scene. And I need to tell you that just briefly in DP, Alex Gurney's just laid down a flyer of a lap, a 1:42.9 to bring it with less than 6 seconds to Max Angelelli. This race is far from over with 18 laps to go.
This is going to be fascinating to see how these guys stack up here. There you see Ryan Dial just flash by in the 3rd place Daytona prototype, and there's Valiente, 2 old Atlantic sparring partners now going at it hammer and tongs here in DP Racing.
And with these GT cars in the way, things are going to get real interesting in these brake zones. You can use these GT cars as a pick to use advantage.
Chris, tell us more about the 70.
Well, guys, looking back at Mid-Ohio, we saw all that oil coming out of the 70 car part of the way through the race. And what they had is an oil pump issue with the car. Really, the ratio between the pump scavenging and pumping was off. So that's why they were losing all the oil out of the car. They got it all figured out, so no problems here. And one of the biggest improvements with that car, Sylvain was telling me, is the new nose on the front end. Always in hot temperatures, that car seemed to struggle a little bit keeping it cool. That new front end is keeping that motor about 10 degrees cooler, and he said it's in the perfect operating temperature for that little Mazda. And even though it's creating a bit more downforce, not really slowing them down enough on the straightaways, but making them a lot faster on the infield.
It is, and I spoke to David Haskell this morning, who really engineers the whole squad there when he's not driving himself, and he said the new nose really gives it a lot more grip through the kink, which is the corner that's coming up after this hairpin. So he said we've actually had to stiffen the spring setup a little bit to support that extra downforce.
Of course, what Chris was talking about too was the oil system on these engines is a dry sump. In other words, there is no oil in the oil pan of the cars, or there shouldn't be, because the scavenge side of the oil pump pulls it out, puts it back into a tank where it gets recirculated through there. That was off, and so it was holding oil inside the engine and pumping it out as a result.
87 is Dirk Werner, taking over from Lee Keane, championship leaders in GT. They've got a 16-point margin. That's the healthiest, the largest lead in GT we've seen in 2009. Have a look at this. Second, third, and fourth. Talk about old Atlantic competitors. Alex Gurney, Ryan Dial, Michael Valiente. There's your race leader, Angelelli. He's got 5.2 seconds over this man here, the 2007 champion. But Dial and Valiente are coming.
Well, they're certainly going to be coming. Another key factor is that these boys have a couple more laps of fuel on board than Angelelli. He pitted on lap 35, these guys on lap 37, so it's going to be pretty tight. I assume from the interview we did with Wayne Taylor, he seemed pretty confident they were okay, but you have to think about with the pace they're running, they're going to be burning fuel.
Pruitt is still buried down in 12th, 48 seconds behind the race leader, Max Angelelli.
And unable to match the pace that the guys up front are. I mean, those guys up front are running out some fast laps right now. 42.70 for Alex Gurney that lap.
All right, we need to squeeze in a break. We need to leave the World Center of Racing, but we will be back. You're watching Grand Am live on Speed. The Brumos Porsche 250. Can Max the Axe go all the way?
Chris or Brian, the 10 car definitely good on fuel.
Cal, I would think so. You know, all those guys were setting up to come in right before that caution, and then the caution happens. I'll check it.
Put it on your places to visit. Daytona Beach. So many unique attractions, and we are looking to go down to the wire again here at the line. The beach, the track, it's all happening here this weekend. Independence Day weekend. It's all happening for this man here. He knows what it's about to win at the Speedway. Max Angelelli, his younger teammate, Brian Frizzell, did a wonderful job to qualify and his opening stint. Now all the pressure is mounting on Angelelli, and mounting it is. The lead has come from out over 7 seconds down to 3.4.
Well, we heard the 99 car tell Alex Gurney go to the rich fuel setting, and since that time he's certainly dropped his lap time and has closed in on the leader. So they've got fuel to burn, and Gurney is using it.
Boy, he just ran that lap of 43.15. Last lap before that, 42.70. He's a second a lap quicker right now than anybody out there. That is the fast car.
Next car in the line is the 45 Orbit Racing BMW Riley of Ryan Dial and Bill Lester. They've only done 4 races this season. 3 of those 4 have been in the top 10, but nothing like this. Let's hear from the co-driver.
Bill Lester standing down here as Ryan Dial out in the 45, running a great run, but you too had a good qualifying. Just seems like every time this car runs, it gets better and better. Last time out at Watkins Glen, your best finish of the season.
Yeah, and we're going to do better today, I'm sure. But no, Ryan's come on board. He's been an asset to our program. We snapped him up, and things have been going really well. We're getting our program back to where it needs to be. We've been struggling for the most part, and now we're turning the ship around, and it's really exciting. There's a bounce in everybody's step, and you know, for the car that's out there without any real sponsorship on it, I think we're putting a pretty good program together and a pretty good you know, effort here today, and we're hopeful that we can get a few more dollars together so we can run the whole, you know, remainder of the season. Right now, there may be a few races that we might miss, but we're hopeful we can put it all together.
Well, you look like one cool customer, and one of the reasons is it's very hot out here today, and take a look at this. Bill has actually plugged his cool suit in down to a cool box that's attached to a battery, so you're standing here cool. And while that's comfortable, I know, but the other drivers that are going to be getting in cars or that have gotten in cars throughout the day, they've done the same thing. How much of an advantage is that to get in cool?
Well, I mean, as cool as your body's going to be, it's going to help you perform. And, you know, this cool suit is definitely something that's going to be advantageous for us. And so I'm definitely going to run with one. I mean, we proved earlier this year when we were at VIR, when we did run cool suits, Darren and I, Darren overheated. You know, at least I had a helmet fan. He didn't even have that. So, no, these cool suits are really nice. And needless to say, it feels like I'm on life support without it.
And Peter Barron just said they're running full rich, a little tire conservation, but it's time to go. Ryan DL's been turned loose, guys.
Well, although most people know Bill Lester from the Craftsman Truck Series, he really started his career as a road racer. In fact, he was one of my students at Skip Barber so many years ago.
You're not taking credit again, Dorsey. Oh, he didn't mention, oh yeah, now he's running in the top 3. Suddenly you coached him.
Well, everybody from Juan Pablo Montoya to Bill Lester, Dorsey sticking his hand up for.
Yeah, that's true. As long as they're doing well.
Yes, he did compete in the Camping World Truck Series for a long time, but he's enjoying his new home in Grand Am Series competition.
I think the key is just the solid foundation. You need consistency. They've rotated a lot of different drivers through that car. Now they've got Ryan on board for the season. I think they'll start to see the results.
This stop is a shame. This is taking these guys out of a solid result, Chris.
Yeah, they were just outside of their fuel window, Lee, so they had to bring the car back to pit lane. They're going to put Ricky Taylor back behind the wheel since they had to come anyway. So they're doing fuel and tires. Ricky Taylor going to get back in there, and then hopefully they're going to look for a caution to try and get that car up front. But really a great run by the 13 team today. They've got a lot of speed. Ricky said, hey, that car was amazing, and the power plant just so strong here at Daytona. So hopefully the second half of the season we see more success out of those guys.
Cal, they played a strategy that might have worked if they'd gotten some more yellows, but it just didn't pull out that way.
The key is the car is fast and the boys are quick and they're going to make a lot of progress.
The other key is 1.5 seconds separated Max Angelelli and Alex Gurney last time round. Look at how aggressively the points can switch. Last time we showed you the points, that was before this race started. Now, the leaders suddenly would find themselves down in 3rd place. We'll be back.
God, that time coming through the tri-oval, the 12 car was on the rev limiter, probably about 50 yards in front.
Yeah, that one,
finish line.
That one was ugly, Chris. He was all by himself. You could hear it big time.
A very different scene from here on Lake Lloyd, but I need to tell you about Ice Age 3, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. It's the coolest comedy of the summer, and it is called Dawn of the Dinosaurs. It's now playing in theatres everywhere. That woolly mammoth in that show reminded me of you before you shaved, Calvin. We're back, and things are no joke here. It's a little more intense. Alex Gurney just got held up in GT traffic. That bought Max Angelelli a little time. The lead's now blown out to 2 seconds. It's put Gurney back in danger of losing that spot to Ryan Dial, and Michael Valiente is still shadowing. Those 4 guys are on their own because it's about a 13-second gap back to Mark Wilkins, Joao Barbosa, Van der Poel, Negri, Romain Dumas, and Scott Speed in the O2 is inside the top 10.
Alex Gurney just got completely held up by one of the back markers in the GT class. And he was actually within about a half a car length, Calvin. He was right there knocking on the door.
He was right there, and Max managed to get around the GT car going into the chicane, and Alex had to wait, and it was a very scary moment. Here we see it. Watch for the 85 there. He gets in between the 2 leaders there, and Gurney gets a little sideways there, try to get the power down, and loses a bunch of time.
That's frustrating because you know he was on a tear trying to catch up, and he's about made that granted up now. But he's got to really worry about Ryan Dial, who's not that far behind him now.
What does the boss think? Let's hear from Bob Stallings.
Well, I saw the boss shaking his head as he was watching the screen there, watching Alex get caught in GT traffic. Sometimes it seems to work for you. This time it didn't, Bob.
Yeah, well, yeah, the 85 car is has a habit of getting in the way out there. I kind of wish they would keep their eyes on their mirrors.
Still have plenty of time to go, though, right?
Oh yeah, we got 9 laps to go. The gates go on. I'm sure 99 car is cooking, baby.
Yeah, cooking is probably the right word. Chris?
Well, earlier in the weekend, Timo Bernard and Romain Dumas were pretty excited about getting those revs back. The 12 car very quick, but you're just running out of speed on the straightaway.
I mean, in the infield, we do a good job. I think we have the speed. When we run alone on the banking, it's okay as well. But in the draft, we hit the rev limiter in 6 gears, so it's very hard for us to overtake right now. So it's a tough race.
I've heard the car coming through the tri-oval, hitting the rev limiter about the start-finish line. How did the gears get so far off?
I mean, it's different. I mean, when you go in the qualifying, you're obviously running on your own, and then you have to do the ratio for that. But for the race, unfortunately, the 6 years too short. But we're hanging in there with the Verizon Wireless car number 12, Penske Racing. I hope we're still in the title contention. I hope next race will be better.
Well, right behind the 12 is the O2 car, the waste management car. Scott Speed behind the wheel. And talking to those drivers earlier today, they just had smiles on their faces. They said they were having such a great time here. And one of the guys they were sharing that experience with was Steve Neff, who is in charge of motorsports for waste management, telling him about the series and about the car. And Steve said, hey, you know what? We're having a great time with this series. And the main reason we're here is we're really trying to push waste management in sustainability, recycling, reuse. And how they're doing that with motorsports is they've already got deals in place with 75% of the ISC tracks on recycling. And when you think of recycling at a place like this, we're going to have close to 200,000 people here today. So if those people say maybe have 10 water bottles over the course of the entire day, that's over 2 million water bottles. So definitely a recycling program like that is great for motorsports.
And they've enjoyed their experience. Well done, boys. They're on target for a top 10 finish. They may give that position to Scott Pruitt and Memo Rojas, that man there, to get him more championship points. Race is winding down. We're in the closing stages. That means I need to remind you for the final time about the Chip Foose Pirelli Edition Ford Flex giveaway. All you've got to do is go to the Grand Am website. That is www.grand-am.com/Foose and enter the prize word. We'll give you a different one each and every week. And you go into the mix to win that fabulous special Pirelli Edition Ford Flex. And the lucky winner at the end of the season at Homestead Miami Speedway will get the keys from Chip Foose himself. We're back, and we're back at the front. That's it. Simple as that. First and second, Angelelli and Gurney. There is nothing between them.
I'll tell you once again, Dorsey, what looked to be significant there was the 99 car looked really stable under braking, whereas Angelelli was taking it in deep and really starting to twitch around.
And Gurney now has run that car down not once but twice. Remember, he got held up by the back marker and lost a lot of time, 5 seconds. Now it's right down to nothing. So the faster the two cars are behind, but getting by at Max Angelelli is not that easy.
Really exciting times for Dallara. Of course, they love being here in Grand Am because they compete against other chassis constructors. But they've entered Formula One now with the Campos Meta team, the Spanish team, and they're very, very excited about that entering into the 2010 World Championship.
Really tight there for Gurney as he negotiates through that GT traffic. Got the power down. Can he catch the draft here on Angelelli? I think he's a bit too far back to make it stick this lap, Dors.
I think he's running about a half a length higher than Max.
Breakers out there on your side. Exactly. We got Max Angelelli behind the wheel, and no one's better in the braking zones than Max. So we got a good shot. I mean, we got a bit of a straightaway advantage right now because I think we're running less downforce. Dallara is pretty slippery, so I think it looks good.
You were so strong the second half of last year. Are you excited about all these tracks that you had so much success at coming up?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I see a lot of tracks coming up that the Dallara should be very strong at. So, you know, it's exciting. We've led at every race this year. We're a strong team, and we just got to make a good championship push.
There's been so much talk about the Riley just having all the success for the past few years. The Dallara, it looks like it's ready to finally take it to the Riley. You excited about being part of that program?
I'm definitely excited about it. I mean, Dallara, they put so much effort in. They're very passionate about their racing, and so is this team. So it's a great combination. We want to have the SunTrust car up front every race.
We don't want to take any more of his time because I know he's itching to watch our show.
Well, you see the complexity of catching a guy here. It was no big problem to run down the 10 car, but now that they're at the same level, how do you make that move? Where can you find that gain to get by?
Well, that's the key here at Daytona. Unless you hit traffic and you're able to maneuver your way through, then it's really down into the braking zones, and they follow along straightaway, and it seems like the 99 car doesn't quite have the speed at the end of the straightaways here today.
Well, it's got all their attention at the Gainesco camp, hasn't it? Behind these boys, it's unchanged. It's Ryan Dial in third, Michael Valiente fourth, Mark Wilkins in fifth, Joao Barbosa sixth, Eric Vanderpool in seventh. That's a good result. Oswaldo Negri, Dumas, and Scott Pruitt has indeed jumped ahead of Scott Speed to grab more championship points.
The key for Angelelli is the team needs to tell him, listen, Max, you have the advantage when you get to those brake zones. You're going to have a couple of car lengths typically, so just really position the car, be smart in traffic, slow everyone up, and make sure you get a good clean exit.
Yeah, if you can break the momentum, it stays pretty much the thing. Now, here's your overall lead in GT in second place. You're riding in second, right up in front, Lee Keen. And the Mazda has more top-end speed, so watch it now as it comes up.
I think Lee's going to have to keep it down to the left, make him go the long way around.
Dirk Werner, Sylvain Tremblay, the drag race. Down to the bus stop. Sylvain loves this track. They love winning here, but he's not going to get that move done.
He gets in too deep.
Throw it away.
Dirk took him all the way in there. Sylvain was going for it, just going a little bit too deep. He's got to recover now, get back in the group. Only 5 laps to go.
That was classic. Because of the top speed of the Mazda, he had to slow down at from a higher speed and couldn't do so at the same level the Porsche had.
He's got time to catch up, but he's running out of time. So are we. We need to squeeze in another commercial break. The closing laps of the Brumos Porsche 250. Who's it going to be, Angelelli or Gurney? We'll tell you when we come back. You rejoin us right in time to see Alex Gurney put the move on Max Angelelli. But here comes Max. He's running the high line out of NASCAR 2 and the drag race towards the bus stop. The Dalara's got itself out in front.
Watch the braking zone. Who's going to get on the brakes? Max takes it to the inside. GT traffic ahead, Dorsey.
And this is the exit where it pulls you back up on the banking. That GT car can play a big part right here. They both get guy clean.
The 99 car's getting the power down so well in the latter stages of this race. They've really managed the tires well. The car is hooked up.
Right here is where the 99 lost the race last year with a sweeping outside move by Scott Pruitt. The 99 is in contention again with 4 to go. It's going to be 3 to go this time by. Can Angelelli hang on?
But the 10 has top end, and that top end's pulling them clear in the brake zones every time, Calvin.
So reminiscent of last year. That's exactly what the 01 car had a little bit more straightaway speed in the second half of the straightaway. Oh, and here we go. Angelelli gets really wide off the first hairpin. Gurney tries to get the power down and take advantage. He goes high. Angelelli in defensive mode right now.
He'll try to work to the inside, but I don't think there'll be a mistake made off this corner.
The gentleman you just saw was Bob Stallings, team owner, team principal of the red car, the 99, the Red Dragon. The man on the left is Wayne Taylor, team principal and owner of the SunTrust Dallara.
Think these wins come easy? I don't think so.
Stressed.
It's been a while. Infineon last year, since the number 10 car saw victory lane, they've been fast every weekend. Gurney looks to the inside.
You're talking about 2 championship winning teams. And he goes to the inside. This is where he got it done last time, but he's not close enough this time round.
No, it's what's frustrating is that the 10's going to pull on him. It's going to open up that gap going down there in the brake zone, and he's nothing he can do about it but try to brake deeper yet.
You guys talk about 2 championship winning teams. Remember, we came into this race, the 10 guys, just 1 point behind John Fogerty and Alex Gurney. So Max Angelelli and Frizzell, this isn't only for the race win. They should be tied, perhaps, at the end of this race if it were to end this way. So this is a fight for the championship as much as it is the checkered flag, Chris.
Well, Brian, listening to the radio communication on the 10 car, the spotter telling Max exactly where the 99 is, and Simon Hodgson coaxing him around saying, Max, we need a couple laps of your life here to get us to the checkered flag, and you've got to protect the inside. We've got the speed on the straightaways, but you've got to protect the inside because he's so good in the brake zones.
2 laps to go around the Daytona International Speedway road course to determine whether we will have another winner, a different winner in 2009. This Dallara chassis has only had 1 victory in Grand Am Rolex Series competition. That was in Infineon Raceway last year. For this new driving combination, Max Angelelli and Brian Frizzell, it would be their first. There's the man in the middle, and he knows the pressure's on.
Boy, Calvin, I'll tell you one thing. I would rather be in the 10 car. I'd rather have top-end speed here than I would rather have the better handling and braking car. One reason I say that is you can make all the ground you want to on this infield, but that checkered flag's at the end of the straightaway.
That's the key, Dorsey, particularly at this stage of the race. It's all about track position and having straightaway speed. And right now, Angelelli has both, but he has GT traffic to maneuver. He has to keep it cool.
This is Alex's corner. This is Alex's corner. Does he tuck it to the inside again? No. Max has learned. Meanwhile, the 01 is starting to pick off positions 1 at a time. Pruitt is now up to 7th. That's valuable. That is crucial in the championship chase.
That is huge. He just took 2 spots in that last lap, and that may, in fact, keep him the championship lead tonight. So every position, every part is precious. Look at the debris there down the back straightaway.
1.5 laps to go.
There's got to be a car up here with no tire on the carcass, because that was the carcass of a tire laying in the middle of the straightaway there as they approach that chicane. For Gurney, it's going to be a matter of frustration, and I tell you, he's going to have to do something desperate to make it by now.
Coming round to see the white flag. Can Angelelli hang on is the question. I don't think in GT Sylvain Tremblay is close enough to make inroads on Dirk Werner. That's what it looked like when we're on board with Scott Pruitt. We're inside 1 lap here at round 7 of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. Brian Frizzell, his work is done for the day. He did an awesome job. He knows what it takes to win Grand Am races. Angelelli knows what it takes to win the 24-hour here and this championship, just like the man behind him.
There is GT traffic in front of these guys that will play a part in this final lap. There it is, the 85 car.
You see Gurney every lap, and the 85 car is the car that held him up in the first place. It really dropped the gap back first time. Watch again, here we go.
Dan and Evie Gurney will be back in California watching their son, biting their nails, cheering him on. Has Alex got enough? He is up against a very strong competitor.
This is the spot he's going to go for. He looks to the inside. Max takes the position away. Alex will cut back down to the inside. Can he get the power down?
Not yet. Got to slide there. You see the tire rubber coming off the wheel. Now to the inside he goes.
It's going to be a drag race. This is where Alex positioned himself before. But we know that high line is good for the Dallara. The Gainsco, the Red Dragon's got its nose in front. But here comes the Dallara. Side by side on the final lap at Daytona. And Max takes the top spot again.
That's unbelievable. Look how he clears him. They have to go through the debris there. Incredible how just off the banking that Dallara just shoots, Dorsey.
Got so much top-end speed there to that mid-range part. Nothing he could do about it. And I don't think now there's going to be enough time left.
Alex has got a good run out of there. Is he able to tuck in? Has the SunTrust Dallara in its new livery. It's talking all about being solid. Is lightning fast? Well, it is lightning fast here at the World Center of Racing. The Gainsco machine is not giving up, but Max the Axe Angelelli will have enough. He and Brian Frizzell go to victory lane at Daytona. A different winner, and Wayne Taylor says, finally. That was the one that they felt they should have got 2 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio. The Axe is back in victory lane.
Fantastic. They had that bad break at Ohio. They got a little bit of a break here today. They were in contention, but suddenly the leaders got caught out with pit lane being closed. They'd made their pit stop, gave them the track position that was critical.
Let's talk GT because there's still a race going on. How about this? Championship leader Dirk Werner is going to do it again. These boys are unstoppable at the moment. This is going for their 4th class win, their 3rd in succession. Sylvain Tremblay got so close, but it's not going to be.
In answer to the question, can that Mazda be beat here at Daytona? Yeah, it can. It definitely can.
Porsche won the Rolex 24 at the hands of the TRG team. It's going to be Farnbacher Lols in the Brumos Porsche 250, the shorter race. And these guys are the duo, the team to beat in Grand Am GT this year. Dirk Werner, Lee Keen, they get another one. Win number 4 of the season, and they extend their championship lead. And up front, it's the SunTrust boys doing the partying tonight. There it is. That's what it's all about. Celebrating in victory lane at Daytona International Speedway. Chris Neville, Max the Axe. That's probably the best hot weather run he has ever done.
You're right with that there, Lee. These guys grabbed their first victory of the year. Hugs to Wayne Taylor, hugs to Brian Frizzell. Max, I was listening to you on the radio. The team said, hey, that was your best drive ever. You immediately came back and said, we won this thing because of the pits.
We won because of them. We won the race in the pit and we were solid. It's lightning fast, you know. So great for SunTrust, all the guests here, my crew, they won the race.
You typically have a little bit of a tough time in the heat and all that pressure from the 99, but it just, you drove a perfect race.
The pressure from the 99 is nothing compared to the pressure from Wayne Taylor, I tell you.
Congratulations, guys.
Max Angelelli's 13th career Grand Am win for young Brian Frizzell. It's his 3rd, and that's Alex Gurney just applying immense pressure. That was superb stuff, and of course everyone wants to talk to the winners. It sets up a pretty interesting scenario, doesn't it, with the points heading to Barber Motorsports Park in 2 weeks. Let's show you what it looks like. And with those 2 late race moves, Pruitt and Rojas hang on to the lead of this championship by a solitary point over today's race-winning team, and the 99 boys are still very much in this championship. How about that? It just goes to show it's never over till it's over.
goes out in front, in fact, takes the lead, but here comes Angelelli with that Ford horsepower on the outside, and he powers back out in front of Gurney. Gurney tries one more time, but can't really get much done, and Angelelli goes on to take a win. So we're going to throw it down the Gatorade victory lane now. Jim Trano.
And indeed, the Suntrust team, powered by Ford, is pulled up the Gatorade victory lane again here at Daytona International Speedway. John Fogerty's here winning his awards as well, and we're going to celebrate with the team because as soon as Max, the Angelelli Angelelli car was raced the team owner Wayne Taylor, who was in a victory lane as a driver before. Now the team owner with the team, and Ryan Rizal now in victory lane with their Suntrust powered by Ford team, the Delara, and indeed we also have our GT class winner vehicle in here as well. The entire team now climbs on stage as they're about to be awarded. And 78, Rouse comes into the victory lane as well. Congratulate the winner of Wayne Taylor Racing effort. And we'll have a moment here to talk to Max and Ryan. And guys, it was a day, Max. It was a day, Ryan, as well. And talk a little, we'll start out with you first, Ryan, because the outstanding run you had really was set by the pace you guys put forth. And you had the first 10 and a half. How endearing was it for you to know that you had Max behind you to relieve you of the driver's seat, much like set the pace you did to win? It's always great to be followed up by Max and he did the job today. He kept the car up front and followed Max. Obviously, what did you do to prepare for today? You just got to give it as much as possible and your body can do so much in the race. So drank as much as possible and got good rest and you worked out. What did you do during those final laps watching your teammates? Gals, gain, lose on those final laps? I watched them certainly. I was, it's nerve-wracking. You want the wind so bad. I knew the 99 car was so fast, but Max did a great job keeping the Suntrust car up front. Congratulations on what you celebrate here in a moment, and Max continues to set at idle here behind our victory lane stage. Antonio and Max, we'll keep you sitting there because what a spirited run it was. Every ounce of your energy has to be spent at this point. Well, it's really did towards the high end of the bank. The way that Tom will set up ahead of the bank is a straight, and I do it. They were ready from the easy, and they really played fair, and they played a really fair game. Made me very comfortable, so that was good stuff. Now, when you held line, how hard was that with the little group that you had at any point in Daytona racing, the whole line, even behind the whole time? It's very difficult because you can't close the door at the corner, otherwise you don't go anywhere. I was trying to just fake the corner where I was dancing with dance, and then I tried to close it into that one. And this is what I did. The terms of this race were not satisfying with the team, knowing everyone could veer through that, but you came on top. It's just great. It's a fun about race. Once again, people spend $100. We are the championship team, and we have a whole
Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is presented on Speed by Rolex, a crown for every achievement. And brought to you in part by Pirelli. Power is nothing without control. And it's appropriate word, control, because that's exactly what the 87 Farnbuckle Lowell's boys are doing to this GT Championship, Brian.
Well, Lee, and they were fast from the time they...
Unibet, espero que la haya pasado muy bien.